you.
No, sorry.
Okay. So I have 7:32. We appear to have our team here. If you're able to, Mike, Pam, your video's not on. If you would like to turn that on, just so you're aware, but otherwise we can go ahead and get started. I'll call the meeting to order.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Okay, I have to make sure you were aware. I know sometimes you can't always tell. So, calling the meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank
That's
you.
how we want to start the
I know.
And I'm sorry, Chief of Mike.
Puppy, he is the supervisor from Lisle Township. He's joining us for one of the agenda items.
Okay, and that's at Bloomingdale.
Yes.
Okay, that's, because I
Yeah.
get rid of
So before we do roll call, I just want to let everyone know who is participating online and anyone who's watching later that this is the July meeting of the Lisle Township Board. We are meeting in person at Lisle 202 Convenient School District to allow participation in person, as well as an online virtual meeting that's happening on Zoom at the same time. I would very much like to thank Lisle 202 for allowing us to use their space. It makes our life a lot easier to be able to spread out and allow people to be here in person, as well as use the facilities that they have everything set up. The technology is very helpful as well. So thank you, Dr. Flipiak, very much.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you for those joining us online, virtually. Really appreciate you guys being here, especially those who are joining us for parts of our agenda. Supervisor Hubsey, thank you for being here for the topic later around the mental health board. So with that, I will ask Bob to do a roll call around, and then we'll ask people online.
So then, yeah, so what we'll do is I'll do a roll call, and so I'll first do the physically present people here, and that is Supervisor Mary Jo Mullen.
Here.
Assessor John Trowbridge.
Here.
And Clerk Robert Claren is here. And then electronically present, I'll ask for Highway Commissioner Young.
Here.
Senior Trustee Michael Tam.
I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Trustee Mike Reedy.
Here.
Trustee Kathy Chapman.
Here.
And I believe Trustee Sean Allen is absent, but did you make it, Sean? Okay. Sean's absent. Thank you. And then here's what I have so far as who I believe is present physically is Carrie Lynn Kretschalter. And Michael Murray. And then and Dr. Flipiak, I will get that going. I'm not sure I can find that on the internet. And then electronically, I have John Canto. I have Sarah Bryce Hopp. And then Jerry Galloway. And Mike Hubsey. Is there anyone else I missed that is...
Jim Bonder.
Jim Bonder, thank you. Yes, and actually I had your name is electronically present. I apologize, Jim. So, all right.
That's
Mr.
great.
Green is not with us.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Green?
Mr. Green,
I'm here.
Sorry.
He's
Mr. Green
behind
is
the camera.
he is here, but he always denies his presence. His name on it anyway.
All right, that brings us next to public comment. We have three methods of providing public comment in this meeting, in person, via Zoom, and written comment. I will start with asking if anyone in the room would like to offer public comment. You have 3 minutes for a comment if you'd like to make one.
I'll just make a real quick comment. I wanted to come and meet you guys personally. I thought you'd all be here. Since this is one of the first opportunities I know I've had to get out of the house, so I was thankful to skip dessert. Well, that's actually not true, but I did skip dessert to be here. And I tried to cover all the points. I don't feel like you can ever get your point across on, the Zoom calls. At least I never feel that way. one point I don't think I brought up is that a lot of people don't get help for mental illness or addiction or developmental disabilities because of stigma. You know, they may have insurance, they might have a lot of other things, and I think our mental health board has gathered together the whole community where it's broken that barrier of shame and isolation that frequently people feel like who have an addiction or even a developmental disability, like I have a grandchild that just got held back a year for dyslexia, and we had to work with her to say, no, this is just the way your brain works, you know, and we did overcome that. So my hope is that you will follow what our community followed, which is to create that heart for change, that heart to attack this extremely difficult issue, an issue that's been with us since the beginning of time, but with proper programming and help, we can change it, we can improve, we can do better. And that's what we're trying to do in Bloomingdale Township. We hope you will join us in that. I'm so grateful to see Michael Hobby here with me, at least by a Zoom. So that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Anyone else in the room? I had nobody ahead of time contact me that they wanted to make comments via Zoom, but I do have 3 comments that were made by the online form. Unless, I know at least 2 of the people who are on the Zoom made comments. If you would rather read them yourself, please let me know. Otherwise, I will read them as we planned. Okay, I will go for it. First comment is from John DeCanto. His comment is, your opposition to not allow residents of Lisle Township to choose for ourselves if a mental health board should be formed, especially during a pandemic and economic downturn when mental health issues are more prevalent, is disappointing. For those of you against bureaucracy, a referendum question should be your favorite way to make a law because it allows the people to decide. We are not asking you to write law. It's already a law at the state level and is currently implemented in many Illinois townships. We are asking the trustees to implement the law in Lisle Township. For those of you who are against the mental health board because it means a tiny tax increase, I ask you to reconsider. Unlike state taxes where funds are collected for a general fund and can be spent anywhere, you should favor a targeted tax like this that can only be used for the mental health board, which means increased transparency and accountability. The state and county do not provide targeted funding for our community the way a local mental health board can. A local mental health board can do a better job at assessing the needs of our community and providing targeted funds which increases efficiency and reduces waste. You as trustees can set the tax rate as low as you want. We as residents entrust that you will determine the appropriate balance between burden and benefit. Respectfully, John DeCanto. The second comment received was from Jerry Galloway. The comment reads, good evening, everyone. As a citizen of Lisle Township who is concerned about our societal mental health, I'd like to see this mental health initiative under consideration fully implemented in our township. This is particularly important during this time of pandemic, unemployment, and precarious work lives for many of our citizens who are extremely stressed, many of whom have no good recourse for the stress and depression they face. Thank you, Jerry Galloway. And the final comment is from Claire Goldenberg. I'm a resident of Lisle Township and I feel strongly about the subject of mental health. I fully support a referendum to establish a mental health board in the Township of Lisle. Far too many people suffer then harm themselves or others when their mental health breaks down. Mental health coverage is the first item to be cut and therefore too many people don't have the resources to get the help they need. Having resources available through the township would be a stopgap that could save a lot of lives. Those are the 3 comments provided online. That brings us next on the agenda to the approval of the June 10th, 2020 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the June 10th regular meeting minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of the June 10th regular meeting of the Lisle Township Board.
I'll second it.
Is there any question or discussion on the minutes?
None here.
Okay. As in past meetings, we will continue to do a roll call vote since there's participation virtually, and just for complete clarity and transparency. So we'll turn it over to Bob.
Trustee Reed,
Yes.
Trustee Tams,
Yes.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
Supervisor Mullen.
Yes. Okay, next up on the agenda is discussion of and potential action on the renewal of MetLife dental, vision, and group life insurance. The renewal policy was in the packet and reflects the same cost as previous year. Is there a motion to approve the renewal of the MetLife dental, vision, and group life insurance?
I will move to approve the, MetLife dental, vision, and group life insurance as presented.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on it?
Nope.
Okay, then ask for roll call again.
Certainly. Senior Trustee Tams,
Yes.
Trustee Reed,
Yes.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
and Supervisor Mullen.
Yes. All right. Renewal is approved. Next is the update on COVID-19 impacts to township operations. I'll jump into this first. In terms of the supervisor's office, we continue to operate by appointment only in the office, and many of our services are currently still operating virtually, such as Job Club and some of those services. Food pantry is still a drive-through, and I don't anticipate changing that until we feel like everything's very stable. I'm still leaving it up to staff, as we're supposed to make the determination if they feel safe in coming in and work, who are currently working remotely. So we have two people who continue to primarily work remotely, even though they've come in a couple times to get stuff or to check in. The one other update I'll make that's a little different than the past is we have gotten a request from the county to see if there's any public assistance expenses that we had that would be reimbursable under the disaster declaration, as well as the county grant work that's been going on. We've got a request for that to help us recover funding that may have been spent responding to or just dealing directly with COVID. So we're working through that right now too.
So that would be extra hours, perhaps had to be spent in food pantry or something like that.
Some of it's that, and some of it's like the extra cost of sanitizer and PPE and those kinds of supportive things.
Okay, cool.
But the public assistance funding has very specific line items on it, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
John, do you want to talk about your office?
Just very briefly, we are open. We're back and fully staffed. The only thing that we've changed is that any public that comes to our office, we make appointments. They make appointments first. They call in, schedule, and just to keep the social distancing because of the structure and the layout of the building, we can't get more than one group in at a time. So we're working on appointment only.
Okay. Ed, any updates from you?
We really haven't changed anything from what I've described in prior meetings. When people come into the office, which is rare, we try to discourage that by having anybody coming in for permits to just leave a check in the mailbox, and then we'll either email them the permit or we'll put it in the mailbox so they can pick it up later. So there's not very few people coming to the office. I'm considering making everybody, even though there's only 3 of us in the office, making it to wear a mask, considering the change that appears to be coming with respect to how the virus is transmitted. Nobody on staff has contracted the disease or any member of the disease.
Does anyone have any questions for Ed, me, or John? Okay. All right, then we'll move on to next item is discussion of and potential action on setting the date for the annual town meeting. We had a little bit of discussion around some of the updated guidance and legislation I've gone through related to annual town meeting. They wanted us to put it on here for discussion and start to kind of, to say get the temperature, but that's probably inappropriate to say, but gauge everyone's interest in pursuing the annual town meeting, because I'm looking at Carrie Lynn at the moment, it's not terribly clear, timing-wise, what the expectation is.
So if I can make a point, so the town meeting is the one that's, basically the one where I'm most involved in. And I would think that it'd be appropriate that we perhaps soon publish the financials for the end of the year and everything else, so people have the information that we would present. But I would then ask the board and somewhat recommend from the sidelines, again, it's your decision, that perhaps we wait until after the state's open so that the residents want to come and participate. They can do so with, maybe with the mass or whatever the minimal thing is following the end of it, as long as we can get through. But it seems like because of the way the law is written, we can put off putting people at risk and still have them involved in our government. Like so my only thought would be is just so that people know that we're not trying to hide anything, we're trying to maximize participation. We maybe publish those documents after our August meeting that we would publish in the town meeting, and if that makes sense, and then present and have the open town meeting when the crisis is at a point where we can offer it to more people. I think we have some latitude in that from what you'd expressed, Carolyn, right? We don't have to have it in August. Maybe it's September or October when they've done it. Again, we have nothing pressing.
Well,
go ahead. Unless something's changed in the last.
Yeah, my concern about like wording it that way is that the state is not going to reopen until there's a vaccine or cure.
Right.
So that might not be until 8 months from now, and there's nothing saying that we can delay it until next year.
Okay. Well, again, I don't think that much, but it's I guess what I'm saying is more or less, I think there was some tone where people thought that they'd like to have it in August or something like that. I would figure at least waiting until September.
Yeah.
Seeing where we're at, but just so that, just for, transparency's sake, publish those documents. Again, all those documents are essentially our monthly, it's a roll-up of monthly statements that are, online anyway. But again, it's just kind of a thought I had, so that let's give the maximum opportunity for participation. Maybe that's September, maybe that's October.
Yeah,
So there's two considerations, correct? The lifting of the disaster declaration, and then we also need to get the Department of Public Health to allow us to do it, correct?
Yeah, and part of the problem is the way that the law was worded as it was passed. It's like you have to schedule it the third Tuesday after the month following the expiration of the executive order under which you made the determination, which made it sound like everybody had to schedule their meetings for June, and the General Assembly is not going to meet again this year to correct it. So we think as long as it's reasonable. Some of my clients are scheduling their meetings for August. Some of them have already held it in July. One last night set it for September with the thought that if there's a resurgence, they'll just cancel it again. But you're right, just so people know it's marching forward. And from what I recall, you don't have a referendum on your agenda, do you?
No, we don't have anything
because we have some townships downstate that we're trying to play games with preventing the electors from putting their referendum on by just like indefinitely delaying the town meeting. But I think if you want to like tentatively schedule it for September or October, tentative to, what's going on then, at least we're kind of articulating it. I just thought we should discuss it tonight.
Okay, okay. So maybe we set it for the third?
It'll be the third
Tuesday in October?
Yeah.
Or you want to say September and see where we're at?
That's one of the get trustee feedback.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We go look towards September or October, and that gives us time to work with the health department, because they may say no. I mean, they may be like, no. But we will want adequate time to work with the health department and just to kind of tentatively set it for now.
And to find a location.
Yeah.
Well, all the townships approaching the health department to see what they will say. Are you going as a group?
I'm not sure. We're having a meeting next week of all supervisors in DuPage, and I'll find out more then.
I think someone even had their meeting in May.
Already have it?
Yeah.
No, I thought that was Wheatland, actually. I thought
Yeah,
that was
tell me that was.
Just so you realize, those financials are already done, they're in my drawer.
Yeah, again,
Yeah,
I
they're-
know, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, they're
it's thrown out
complete, they're
there.
complete and ready to go.
And again, it's a roll-up of everything that is always on our website anyway, so I mean, it's,
Well, those aren't,
oh.
unless they add them all together.
But that's what I mean, yeah, it's a roll-up, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, my thought would be is, I don't think we need a board action to publish them, right?
Right, no. You can put those out there.
That would be my, like I said, again, those are just my thoughts, so, thanks for letting me express them.
Kathy, Mike, thoughts?
Does
I would
Mike Reed,
support, go ahead, Mike Reed.
I'd be all for whatever works, September or August or whenever it's safe for all of us to get together. I don't think this is something we can do virtually, is it?
No.
So, yeah, I guess we wait until we get the all clear. Is my thought.
I would echo the same thing. I would support a September or October, tentative target date, maybe October, to see how the opening of schools and different other, things happen and what the impact of that is. October might just give us a more timely understanding of if there's any kind of, impact from reopening.
Mr. Tan?
Yeah, the state has, we as a state have done a good job in comparatively, being locked down and keeping this thing under wraps. So, again, took the words right out of my mouth. I think if you picked a date in October, it gives you the time to see how school openings go. If that goes off without a hitch, and again, access to a space where you can spread people out, that's the other thing.
Right.
As long as you've got those things, I think that's the most prudent thing to do.
Okay. Carrie Lynn, would we need to tentatively set it now, or can we talk to the health department, see what the options are?
Yeah, if we're still gonna wait a couple months and we don't have to worry about a publication, we can just defer it to next month. I just wanna make sure it's something that's on our radar.
Okay. Then we'll target October for now. I will check in with the health department and see where they are at with these kinds of waivers, what their thought process is, and tell them kind of what we're thinking, and just at least be able to get some feedback. And then we'll kind of play it by ear going, forward month to month. Okay, thank you guys. Okay. Next up is discussion of and potential action on a resolution to place a referendum on the November 2020 ballot to establish a mental health board. So this is a discussion we had last month. In your packet, I tried to follow up on a lot of the questions and the request for local data. So in your packet, there was, once again, the resolution and the memo, the legal memo explaining the process. There was a set of data around mental health that was either specific to the county or to the township by zip code, where that data was available to get a little closer to home. Similar set of data around substance use in the county and in the zip codes that cover Lisle Township. And then, so that was the data sets that were provided. The next set were some information from the National Alliance on Mental Illness around the impact of mental health and the ripple effects of how mental health causes impact on a lot of people beyond that immediate person, as well as the societal cost of mental health. And then the next set was around some strategic and planning documents that I found that were all at a county level. The first is Impacted Pages Action Plan for the current year. That really has a section specifically around behavioral health and gets to a lot of what's happening in currently, where are their strengths, where are their weaknesses, what is happening with some of the existing county coalitions that exist, like Prevention Leadership Team, and then some of the really strategic work that they're doing through Impact DuPage in this year. The second one of those was this county sequential intercept mapping report. This one was really interesting. This is about how the points at which, through the criminal justice system, people with mental health issues are identified and treated and helped and routed in different ways. And then, so it was a big analysis by a set of social workers doing kind of a gap analysis on how it works today, where are there gaps, where are there opportunities to improve that system specifically. So it had a really interesting look at the approach to looking strategically at these issues. And then the last is a few years older, but it's a behavioral health community profile that was an update from a report about 11 years before that from the DuPage Federation on Human Services Reform. So those, I think, I sought those out to kind of respond to some of the question and concern around comprehensive planning and looking at things in a more holistic way. And then the last item that I included was in response to Trustee Chapman, kind of looking for alternatives. If not this, then what else can we do as a township to help address mental health for our residents? So those are all the items that were provided to help kind of respond to the conversation we had last. I've also, Supervisor Hubby from Lisle Township is on the call. One of the questions you guys had was who else in DuPage County is pursuing this currently, and in terms of the boards who are pursuing referendum, it's us, Naperville Township, and Wayne Township are all discussing this as a board. And then Bloomingdale Township already has it, as we discussed last time. So I wanted to allow everyone to, if they had any questions for Supervisor Hubby in terms of specifically for the township, and I wanted to give you guys that chance to be able to ask him any questions, ask him kind of just anything about process or anything about his experience.
I don't have any questions for him.
Okay. So I'm leaving a greater pause just to make sure there's no delay.
Hey, I got my video to work.
Hey, Mike. Mike, is there...
Maybe now you guys have questions.
Is there anything, Mike, that you think would be important to share around what Bloomingdale's experience?
So just a couple things. So first of all, this was a referendum that was put on by citizens, and I was not on the township board when it passed. So this was not something our board passed, but it was something I inherited. I will say that there are a couple safety valves for the board if there's a concern about spending, and the first is that the board still has final approval over the levy amount. So the mental health board will recommend a levy amount, and then the township board has final approval over the dollar amount of that levy. That can be raised, lowered, or kept the same. The second kind of safety valve is that the supervisor does appoint the board with the advice and consent of the township. So the makeup of that board is something that is voted on. So those are kind of the preliminary things. As far as good things it's done, we're still early. We're in year number 2 of funding, but one thing that I spearheaded was reaching out to our police departments in our township, because I was a village trustee for 6 years before the township, and mental health was a big issue with our law enforcement. We had a lot of follow-up calls. They weren't really law enforcement calls, they were more mental health. So Bloomingdale, Roselle, and Glendale Heights have worked with a vendor who provides mental health services as follow-ups to some of their calls, which has reduced some of the burden on them, and that's been a big success. And that's really intergovernmental savings, so for your township residents, you're really shifting money over to another governmental entity to help save them dollars. So there's kind of a win-win there. And then the other things we have are really filling in the gaps of needs for the township, and that's the hard part for your mental health board to determine is what's appropriate for your township and the dollar amounts.
Thank you, Mike. So, I mentioned that I had, as a result of some of the discussion, kind of had a plan that branches in a few directions. That's kind of contingent upon what happens this evening also. I understand the concerns that were expressed in last month's meeting. I tried my best to answer those, address those, but obviously there are some things that are beyond what we can control here at the township. The question at hand will be about putting a referendum on the ballot to allow our citizens to decide. My feeling is that this exists as a referendum because anything with a tax implication should be put to voters, should be put in their hands to say, do I feel that this is a worthy investment of my dollars, my tax dollars, to provide services, to do what is needed. And so I've always felt that the tax question kind of falls with the people who would vote on the referendum. We clearly have a need in our township, not just at the township. I know that need is broader than what we do and what we can provide alone. But I believe that if you wait for someone else to step in, who knows when it will be addressed. So I do believe that while there need to be larger solutions, that there should also be local solutions. And as the government closest to the people with enabling legislation, with these authorities, I feel that it's important for us to allow our voters to make the choice. So with that, I will make a motion to pass a resolution to place a referendum on the November 2020 ballot to establish a mental health board. And without a second, there was no further discussion and there's no vote. So hearing none, then I'll move to alternative 2. The conceptual plan that I sent you guys had 3 main steps, I would say. The first is that we would have a resolution approved tonight that would place a referendum on the November 3rd, 2020 ballot. That's clearly not going to happen. The second is that it could be potentially on a future ballot, the next election in April of 21. Did it go to sleep? Sorry, we just lost you guys on the screen. There you go.
Shake the mouse every
time. I know, right? So that's maybe in our hands, not in our hands, depending on what's able to happen with petitioning versus if we continue this discussion over the next several months. If we were interested in revisiting the discussion and continuing to talk through this, and giving ourselves adequate time for everyone to feel like they've had a long enough opportunity with this, we're looking at really revisiting this in more detail late this year to push forward towards April. So alternative 3 would be that there's no referendum now or in April. It would be sometime beyond that, if ever. Regardless of what happens with a referendum, I really believe that we have a need, and I think we should understand what that need is in greater clarity. So one of the things I'd like to do, and I would like to get your feedback and at least consensus on direction, to conduct, similar to that sequential intercept mapping report that I pulled, a needs assessment and gap analysis on what exists in the township currently and where maybe the biggest gaps that we could help fill in some way are, so that we can, with a mental health board or on our own, with our own staffing, identify how we can plug in best to serving our residents. So I would only be asking right now if you guys believe that would be a worthy pursuit, And I will come back with costing. I would anticipate pulling this from mental health and youth and family services. We have contingency line items in there that could help supplement whatever we would need. But because it's contingency and it's not specifically budgeted for, I would absolutely could be looking for your guys' advice as the board and consent on moving it forward on any kind of action that actually incurs money. But I think pursuing an analysis either with a nonprofit like DuPage Federation for Human Services Reform or an entity, someone that did that sequential mapping or intercept mapping would be really valuable to see what are our next best steps right now. So I'd like your guys' thoughts on that.
Yes, I think, you're not wrong that it's an important topic, and you're not wrong that it's topical, and more than ever should be something that people are talking about. I think if I were championing this, I would do exactly what you just said. I would make sure that I clearly, identify and, I don't want to say prove it, but, really substantiate what you want to do. And, and again, I know people who are suffering from mental illnesses, and it's heartbreaking. So I get it. I still think that what we're being asked to do is put a referendum on the ballot, and even if our answer is no today, which it appears to be, it's not to say that it can't be on the next ballot with a little more time for the planners and preparers. It's not to say that it's not the ultimate referendum, which is an election. To make it an election issue, that's your ultimate referendum. When people vote for tax increases.
Right.
This may be valuable enough that people will say yes.
And I think that whether or not there's a referendum in the future, or, if there was a referendum in the future that passed, then this work would be handed over to that board for their use. If there isn't, then it's something we use to move forward and identify, if we hire a social worker and these are the things they can help, or maybe there's a transportation program that we can provide. But trying to identify now how we can fill gaps as township, plus if there is a board in the future, that would be their launching point. That's how I see this, as it's very all-purpose for whatever comes next.
And I definitely would support that pathway. I like that pathway better, so that when the question does come before a board again regarding whether or not to move forward, they would actually have more tangible, real Lisle Township data, and this will give you the time to develop that, as well as a launching place for a board if that were to be the path we go. So, yes, Supervisor Mullen, I support you as you outlined going down that path.
Thank you. Trustee Reedy, any thoughts?
Pretty much the same as I felt before. I understand the need and what's going on in this country right now with the COVID and unemployment, civil unrest, and lots of business. And our governor right now has already got a referendum on the ballot to raise taxes, and I just cannot be in any part of anything to do with raising the taxes on these people anymore. If you find another alternative, I'll look at it. As you said, some of these other options sound like don't sound bad, but at this time, I am not for it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. So then, I will go ahead and start at least pulling information and estimates, finding either who could help support us in providing this kind of needs assessment and gap analysis, and hopefully before next meeting have an idea of what that would look like and better on timing, but this is kind of, these three alternatives are kind of what I saw as potentials coming out of tonight, and I think all of them have that in common, that we need to dive in a little bit on these.
Mary Jo, and on the personal level, I think it's just the timing and how quickly this came to the board and make the decision in 5 weeks. This board, and again, you got caught short because of COVID, and we understand you had a plan and they had to change. I think what you heard from the board is they just want to understand it more before they go off and say, go do this. And I think everyone on the board supports the idea of doing more, but do we do that through, another government, ask people to take on more of a tax burden? I know that everyone feels it's small, but that's what everybody who's coming at it does. And we're all facing things that we haven't faced before, personally, and things such as that. So I just hope that you know that this is not anything more than just, this isn't our normal process, is, hey, we hear about something 1 month and we throw it down the next, right? We've always been a 3 or 4 meeting kind of a board. Now, unfortunately, because of this, we didn't have that opportunity. I think that's more what you're hearing from the board right now, or let's understand it, or show it to us, which you've always done and how we've always operated. And I think that's, that's at the heart of it. Everyone cares about these issues. Like, everyone's seeing people stressed. Within the board, there's members itself that have had major life changes because of this. And so we're respectful and understanding of it. It's just, like I said, I think that I think the analysis is great to try to move it, and like I said, maybe there's stuff we can do with the social worker within our budget, by moving stuff without increasing the tax levy.
I think we definitely can take some action
And I think
inside of our current structure.
I think you've heard from the board that they would support that part.
But I think part of it will be too, this should hopefully also, that can go, how effective that can be without either another solution being brought to the table. Whether it's a mental health board or something larger at the county or some other approach.
That's part of it.
We're still going to be nominally impactful, right, with a person or two. It's going to take a lot to make real changes in the data that we pulled. I mean, it was hard looking at this for weeks. The steady incline in suicide and stuff was hard to look at. So.
And I would like to thank you, Supervisor Mullins, for putting that together, because this is the type of information that I feel that we should be continually receiving and measuring in order to get to the alternative number 2 or number 3 that you have as outlined. Unfortunately, the time that we need to get to that decision can't just be a 5-week decision process for me. And so I appreciate both your outline as well as your supportive document. I echo, it was very eye-opening to read much of it, and look forward to hearing how you are going to develop some impactful ways for us to move this forward and get to the end solution.
And the other thing I'll say is, this is a time where there's unprecedented control in the state, and with everything going on, this is the time where the state, if it's going to fix things, needs to fix it. It's, again, particularly as it's about to ask for an enormous tax increase from its residents, many of its residents, over the next few years, to redo, I think you said it was the 1963 plan that a lot of people are operating under. In general, the government plan and social services was developed, I think, in 1963 is what you're saying?
That's when the Kennedy, that's when the original policy change was from state control through large state hospitals to individual control.
So my thought in that is influence. I mean, again, a certain party that many people on the call here in writing letters are asking are part of leadership in that. You have absolute control. You have supermajorities. You have the governor's mansion. This is your issue. do it. Because this is, you know, and I think you'll find support once we can find out what it is. But like I said, as someone who currently has to go to 6 or 7 different people, and you and I discussed this, when we talk about services for my son, I need more of a place in what I said, Mary Jo, even if it's someone's direct people where to go, that's not minimally impactful, that's fine. And versus the, you know, let's do a Band-Aid here in this township. Because then later what happens, what I've seen in the state is, the state says, oh, you're taking care of that there, you're no longer eligible for this state funding. And those are the things, or, oh, you're getting money from there already, so you don't need our state funds. And I think that's wrong. And I think Michael Tans identified last month that the state is kind of mismanaged and not done much, and then the local governments make it up, and then it seems like the state, the best example is, you know, let's change how we're going to fund and the lottery money go to schools. Well, let's just take the rest of the money out of the school. Right? That's one of our concerns as well. Is the state say, well, you're taking care of that in DuPage, we're going to now focus this money over here, even with this large tax increase, because you guys are taking care of that. I mean, so there's a lot of things, and like I said, I think this is a point where right now, you know, that if it is that this is a larger issue, and it needs to be addressed on a larger, so then we know how to react on the need. So I'm sorry.
No. Can I respond a little bit?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
This just fills in the gaps,
Mm-hmm.
but the one thing it does is bring community together,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully around these issues. And I know from talking with, and I don't understand any of the systems
Mm-hmm.
for addiction or mental illness or developmental disabilities in totality, because they are exactly what you said, they're so incredibly complex. And we have been able to address those specific issues that weren't addressed, like we provided treatment for drug addicts, you know, 30 people's lives we saved. We screened 500 kids for, you know, 3 years old and under. So we just do little things, and what it does is bring all of us together in the community where we can have a personal relationship so that we can rally around, hopefully with loving arms, and lift each other up. Because as you know, it is so overwhelming to face these issues that you need those loving arms, and I think the township is the loving arms. That's what
So before we leave this, I meant to draw attention to this, on that concept plan that I have been speaking to, there are 3 little goals I kind of created, and that was my, if I wanted to do this, these are the things I would want to accomplish, so here's how I would write the plan to do it. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, that you guys are aware that, like, when I'm approaching this, the way I'm approaching it is to address the current gaps in the township, that we can have more successful outcomes for residents. Providing comprehensive case management. So one of the things, we can be kind of that umbrella. If somebody needs something, they come to us so we can get them pointed in all the right directions, as well as make sure that the other needs that they may have are fulfilled. So somebody with a mental health condition may come to us, but we can also identify that they're struggling in some other way, and they can use our other services to help bridge that gap too, and help them. And then the last is kind of be that go-to clearinghouse of resources and services available to our township residents. And this is something that Bob and I did discuss earlier, just in the office, of, you know, being a one-stop shop. Somebody is in need, they can come to us, and we can make sure they know the steps and where to go. So that would be kind of the thought process for working through this plan. So I will come back to you guys with more on that then, and we'll move forward from there. That'll bring us to an update on the transition to Lakeshore Recycling Services for waste hauling services. Thank you, Mike. I just want to give you 2 quick updates. So August 1st is the cutover date. The last week of July, Republic will be picking up their current totes that are in people's yards, and as they permit, they'll do their final garbage run, and then they'll follow behind and start picking up their totes. On July 15th, they will, Lakeshore will start to deliver totes to those unincorporated residents who are on the subscription program. So thank you to Ed I'm pointing at you on the screen, and with those cameras over there. John Quinn helped us to walk through with Lake Shore and mark off an area of the parking lot that we'll be using our parking lot as a laydown yard for the totes. So they'll be able to deliver them in mass quantity, and then every morning they'll come through, pick up a chunk, and start delivering them around the township. So half of our parking lot that would normally be full with the food pantry due to COVID and our current operations is actually available to help us with the logistics for the transition. And then I put on the website today the first announcement about the buyback program of stickers. So anyone who has stickers from Republic that they believe they have more than they will need to get through the current contract, which is through the end of this month, we will be able to take them in person by appointment only, or they can mail them, and there's a form that I posted there also to just simply say name, address, number of stickers being returned, total refund amount. We can process it and send them back a check, or if they come in and it's just a few, we can process that with petty cash. And then at the end of August, Republic will buy back all of those from us, plus our stickers that we bought like a year ago, that people could come in and purchase from us. So there will be a mass buyback at the end of August, and they've given us paperwork, a nice little promissory note essentially, saying that they'll buy back everything that's collected. So that we'll have an expenditure on one line, revenue on another from the buyback from Republic, but it will all be evened out. So that's, if anyone has questions about it, residents ask you, you can point them at our website, which has the listing of kind of like the process, or they can call us and ask to. On Monday, this coming Monday, will be the first day of the official buyback. So we're posting it today, tomorrow, Friday. I've got an FAQ from LRS to send out that we're going to post, and I'm going to send to the HOAs that we have contacts for, and just keep pushing out information so people are aware of the transition.
July 13th.
Mm-hmm. Mary Jo?
Yep.
I'm sorry, could you say again, what week will, so there's a week, I believe you identified that residents will put their garbage out on their regular garbage day, then the bins will be picked up right after that, so they're not to bring their bins back in after that.
They can bring them back in. They'll do their pickup, and then they'll come back through later that week to do they'll do the normal waste hauling. After they've done their full hauling for the week, they'll come back through and start picking up all the totes. So it won't be immediately. It'll be just later in that week they'll come back through. Is their plan right now. So it may even take them past that week to pick them all up.
So I think Kathy's asking, she should probably just tell the residents to
go ahead and bring them in.
Or bring them in or leave them out, because they won't know when people are coming back, right?
They should be getting more information. I'll check with Republic on exactly where they want them. But I think, if I remember right with mine in Lisle, they just kind of like showed up and it was gone. It was on the side of my house, so it's easy to see.
Okay, yeah, but some people put them in the garage.
Yeah.
Keep them in the garage.
Yeah.
Critters. And,
we have bungee cords.
So,
that's a long story.
And I'm sorry, what week was that?
The very last week of July will be the last full pickup by Republic, and then they'll come back at either later that week into the first week of August.
so you're talking the week of the 27th, or the week of the 3rd, potentially, for the pickup. May extend.
Right. But then Lakeshore will start delivering their tote on the 15th. It'll take them 2 weeks to get them all out to everybody. And they're going to do, people may get it also staggered, is a conversation I was just having with Katie today, that people may get their recycling tote right up front, because everybody gets a recycling tote. Whether you're doing stickers or not, everyone's just getting a 65-gallon recycling tote. So they'll be doing those, and then they come back and do the rest of the subscription service stuff afterwards. So just be aware of that also.
Is this something we can make huge on the front of the website for that week?
Yeah.
So that Kathy can say, what they're figuring it out. Again, it all depends upon rain and, or heat and things such as that.
Yeah. So they'll be delivering on Saturdays too, they said.
Yeah.
So the delivery of the totes from Lakeshore will be just kind of rolling. Any other questions on that? And I'm gonna keep
No.
pushing stuff out on it. Okay.
Fine.
Nope, thank you.
Right. Next is discussion on the announcement of vacancy in office of Township Trustee. So I want to start by thanking Trustee Tams for his service to the township and everything he's done. We did officially receive his resignation, and we will be moving forward with the process we discussed last month. The announcement is posted on the website now. I just want to make sure you guys saw that the announcement was out there, that it's posted. July 24th is the due date for anyone who would like to submit a package, a letter, and any other information for us to consider. I've left it a little bit open, so depending on the number of applicants that we get, we would be able to either handle it at the next regular meeting. If we have a large amount of applicants, I was kind of leaving space if we wanted to have a special meeting of just that to make sure we could devote adequate time. We could also do that. So applications should be coming in by July 24th. My thought is then we would have time before the next regular board meeting to have a special meeting if need be. Does that sound like a plan for everyone?
Sounds good to me.
So what we've done in the past is we've had an executive session where we've talked to people. Is that feasible via Zoom?
I will look at Carolyn for
Yeah.
executive session via Zoom.
All right.
Yes?
So what you would do is you would convene a regular meeting and
Correct.
you
Yeah.
can, put people in the waiting room.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Look at you with the Zoom action in there.
Yeah.
I think we've all got it, but, good.
Mayor Joe,
Mhm.
may I suggest that we, approach it at a separate meeting, primarily just due to time. Even if we have few applicants, I believe in order to be fair to each applicant, you're going to need to identify at least 20 to 30 minutes for interview, and then coupled with followed up board discussion and our impact. There have been times, I know, for board appointments where it's taken several meetings due to the number of applicants and time for the board to discern. So, just for scheduling and timing, since we are in summer, if possible, I would prefer it be a separate meeting, possibly one that starts a little earlier in the evening so that we have time to discern it.
Do you guys want to look right now at calendars to see if we can identify a time at least tentatively to set aside right now?
Sure.
So you said July 24th is the resume due date, is that right?
Yes, that's Friday, and that leaves through the full week of July after that, or the first week of August.
We do the 29th of the, hey, guess what, I have some free time. Hey, don't laugh about it, guys.
Because then, Mary Jo, or maybe Carrie Lynn can answer this, if we have that meeting to do the interviews and make the determination, would we then seat the new board member at the August 12th meeting?
Yeah, you need to do it within 60 days of the resignation.
Mm-hmm. So we could do it, so if we're gonna get everything by Friday the 24th, we can say we could try to have it out to everyone by Monday the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Right, my guess is we'll probably have everything earlier than that, maybe one more will come in, so we can even try to do something
Yeah.
before that.
I would try and do it that weekend, so
Right.
you guys have it.
And then, you know, maybe do something on the 30th, the Thursday, or the 29th, the Wednesday.
I could do either. What are you guys' schedule like?
Yeah, can make it work.
Okay.
I'm free either the 29th or 30th.
Okay.
The first week of August would be a little tougher for me.
Okay.
I'm hoping for that, but yeah.
I will target, just for consistency, because I'm a nerd like that, the 29th would be Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll double check with Sean and see if he's got any problem with the other dates. And then we can call a special meeting. It's going to start a little earlier. How early is okay? Is 6:30 okay?
That's fine with me.
Sure.
Fine with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I'll shoot for that and I'll come out, I'll follow up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Of
Thank
course.
you. You guys.
And again, thank you so much, Mike, for your service. I know you're not leaving us immediately. You're stuck with us for a little longer. But, like I said, I do appreciate your approach, your thoughtfulness.
I said it last month too. It's great serving along people who care about their community. That's what this is all about.
Thank you.
We will definitely miss you.
Yes.
You will be missed, Michael. Thank you.
Alrighty. Then I will move on to reports of elected officials. I'm not going to make Ed and John rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to look at John since he's sitting next to me first.
We have no report at this time.
Good. Okay. How about you, Ed? What you got?
I got very little. We're completing our third round of brush pickup. We should be done for tomorrow. We completed the concrete work for curbs and gutters and the sidewalks that the township is responsible for, including the ADA compliance where we're going to pave the road. We will start on the residence sidewalk program within the next 10 days. So far to date, we've had approximately 95 people sign up for this, which is about half of what we had last year. So I anticipate the cost will be about half unless we get a big surge in the next week, which is always possible. And that's all I've got. Everything's going along according to plan.
Hey, that's like last year, is that mostly focused on the, is that mostly focused in the meadows? Or do you want to answer the question?
There's a lot in the meadows, there's no question about that, probably the majority. But the other, some of the homeowners associations even participated and encouraged their homeowners to get sidewalks fixed, so they picked up a portion of the cost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Mentioning brush pickup, Ed, Katie told me that some of the frequent questions we're getting already is what's going to happen with brush pickup, is anything changing? So what I've told Lakeshore for their FAQs is to say, I said, put in your information about yard waste in one sentence and then direct people to the website or to you directly about brush pickup.
Yeah, well, they just said there's no changes. I mean,
right,
I'm
sure
there's
no changes.
The only
no more,
changes
go to the website.
is the pay.
Yep. So I just wanted you to be aware that there's some questions around that, so we're just kind of telling everyone, that's the same, go to the website for, the township website if you want to learn more about it.
That's right.
Okay. I have a lot more. So, audit is being finalized, that should come to us next month for approval. Scott was just in our office today, checking on the last couple of things. We did get the notice about the food pantry grant through the capital funds from, it feels like forever ago. I guess it's just a year ago. We did get a notice on the grant application process to get them to apply for the grant that would help support doing a little bit of remodel on the pantry. So working through that process. I've been told to expect that it's exciting. We did have our first application for mosquitoes. We had green demolition out today, finally, to wrap up the last few days of demolition of the assessor's office, the regrading, the capping off everything. They feel that they'll be done by Friday. So we could probably put a big ribbon on that finally and give John a virtual hug over for saying goodbye to the office. The intergovernmental group for Lisle has been meeting frequently, specifically around what's happening with COVID, and the Park District had a suggestion to do a movie night, July 18th. So the intergovernmental group within Lisle is co-sponsoring this night. And from the township side, we're sponsoring it as the coalition, so that there is some increased awareness of the Suicide Prevention Coalition. So I plan on using that line item to kind of just help gain awareness of the coalition that exists and direct people towards that site. But I want you guys to know that's kind of where that's coming from. Thank you seen it online or not yet. And then lease. We've been working through the final details on the lease. I just got it back today from the building owner at 2121 Ogden. So I'll be shooting that one more time, Carolyn, over to you for the final, just making sure the last couple of things that were edited are okay. And then hopefully, maybe even at that special meeting, we could get it approved, is my goal, that we're done with, with that process.
If I could ask, or if you could perhaps have your, I know someone in your firm who's handling that part of our stuff for you, if you'd ask them if you could please expedite it, because I think there's been some lag, and I understand everybody's busy right now, but if we could perhaps get that expedited, I think we'd be very, very grateful that we try to get this done and finally put to bed 5 years after it's done.
You had it, don't you? Or you
We got his memo. I redlined it and gave it to the owner. The owner just gave it back. So once Scott to take a final look at it.
Do we have it back?
I'm going to send it tonight.
Oh, okay.
I think in this last round, there was a little bit more of a, there was a lag that we were looking for, so if
The owner reached out directly to Scott a couple times, and it wasn't great, so. So, yeah.
So that way maybe we can do it, like I said, at a special meeting on the 29th. We need to know that early, probably in the next week or so, so it'll be posted and everything else.
Okay.
But he agreed to almost everything. There's just a couple pieces, I think, that Scott will have to take a look at, make sure it reflected his comments.
Okay. Thanks. When did this first start, John? 2000?
5 years.
15? Yeah, so we could put that to bed, and maybe that's the last action Mike votes on or takes.
Oh, that would be exciting.
Since that has been half your tenure on the board. So, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention was Carrie Lynn and I became aware of an article being written by the Edgar County Watchdog. And through a series of phone calls made in one day, there was concern that there was a political action committee formed as the township officials of DuPage County, which was not the intention of that organization. It was formed as a council of government so that the 9 townships in DuPage County could come together and speak with one voice. And somewhere along the way, it got filed as a PAC. So we found out about that, made a lot of calls to the chair of TODC, and it's been dissolved. I haven't seen that it finally became dissolved online yet, but I've been told the paperwork has been filed and it's being dissolved. That it was just a complete misunderstanding of how that organization was to function. But we're the ones who said, nuh-uh, took action that day to make sure that that was avoided. So I just wanted you guys to be aware that the article came out. I know some people have seen it, but it's actually, we're the ones who kind of said, this either gets dissolved or we're leaving. And
Bob, the information.
Who filed it as a PAC? The treasurer of TODC.
And who is that?
Lorraine, from Downers. Randy was aware, Randy knew, and just, it was a misunderstanding as to what the process should be.
You know, yeah, what happened was there's very confusing laws about campaign finance disclosure when you raise and expend funds, and I think that he got confused with political action committees reporting, and if you're just like a civic group operating and raising funds, and, you know, if you guys eventually wanted to approach someone about a township issue, he was viewing it as lobbying, but of course, we cannot expend public funds on political action, so it was just confusing. And I think it was a bad game of telephone between his office and the treasurer as to what was happening. But fortunately, we were contacted by the Edgar County Watchdog. They called me because they're like, do you represent any of these townships? Because you should know better than this. I was like, wait a minute, I called the Mary Jo. She said, no, it's not a political action committee. So we got it all resolved.
But articles are going to appear.
It did. But it did, and they put in a note that it had been dissolved.
Okay.
but it's a note in the middle. The article still went out. Any questions about any of that?
Nope.
Nope, nope.
Okay, then we'll move forward to other business. If anyone else resigns during other business, I swear I'm leaving. Does anyone have anything for other business?
No, not here.
Okay. Then we'll move into the next item, which is audit of expenditures. Is there a motion to go to audit?
Sorry, I was muted. I'll make a motion to go to audit.
And I will second that.
Roll call, please.
Yeah, okay. What happens when you're not patient enough in the program? Roll call, trustee, senior trustee Tam,
Yes.
trustee Reedy,
Yes.
trustee Chapman,
Yes.
supervisor Mullen.
Yes. And is there a motion to approve the audit?
I'll make a motion to approve the audit.
And I will second that.
And I will look at Bob again.
Okay.
No issues. Yeah.
And then we'll do the roll call again.
Yay.
Senior trustee Tam,
Yes.
trustee Reedy,
Yes.
trustee Chapman,
Yes.
and supervisor Mullen.
Yes. Right, I see no need for executive session, therefore I would ask if there's motion to adjourn.
Senior trustee Tam?
Sure, I'll make that motion if we have to. Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay.
And that one we normally just do a
You shall be
vote.
missed.
All right.
You certainly will.
Thank you to
All in favor
202.
of adjourning, say aye.
And thank you to 202.
Aye.
Yeah, thanks again to it too.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Be safe, everyone.